Hello guys, welcome back. It's Christian from Emotions in Wine. This time I do something I did similar, let's say, in December, since Easter is approaching. So will be just a few recommendations for Easter. No tasting today, but of course during the holidays I will have any of these. So then you will see also the tasting of one or maybe two of these. Just 4 wines, reds. Why? Because Easter for Italians and neighboring countries is usually lamb or beef. So lamb is the tradition really. So anyway, richer meats. So I picked some wines that can go well, not just full-bodied, because you can have even Pinot Noir that can pair well, especially if it has good acidity and discreet. Of course, need to be a Riserva Pinot Noir, not an easy one. So I give also the option for who prefers fuller wines, who prefer more elegant and lighter. So a few options, mostly Italian and one Croatian. I will take a mini break during Easter. So after this video, probably there will be another one. And then probably a couple of weeks I will skip. A bit of rest, a bit of short vacation, let's say. Thank you for your participation. I welcome always your comments, even in this case, if you want to say something or ask something. So let's start. Pinot Noir, as I mentioned, Riserva cannot be an easy Pinot Noir. So this is Girlan, which is Cornaiano in Italian, because this is from Alto Adige, so the German-speaking part of Italy. Girlan, Trattmann, Pinot Noir Riserva 2021. 14 alcohol. So Girlan is maybe the most historical, or anyway one of the most historical cooperatives in Alto Adige. Alto Adige is very famous for cooperatives doing top quality. It's like a family actually, small farmers getting all together, having agronomist, enologist, and the director of the cooperative running the operations, and they are guided also in the quality focus, etc. And everyone has very tiny plots and in different locations, so it's even good because then you can have the better place for Pinot Noir, for Merlot, from other reds, than for the whites, because Alto Adige can still be diverse, even if morphologically similar, but altitudes range a lot, exposition, because it's a valley with the mountains surrounding. If you didn't saw lesser known regions video, the link is below in the description. There I spoke quite a bit about Alto Adige in general. There will be tastings about it anyway, but here we focus on the Pinot Noir. So they have the Pinot Noir in 3 different areas. Girlan basically is one of the main villages on a plateau more or less near Bolzano, the town, and there is a good area for Pinot Noir too, while the most famous is Mazzon, which is a bit south of Bolzano on the other side of the valley, so facing west, and there is also a sort of plateau. Altitudes are similar, always 300, 500 meters. So they source the grapes from both of them, different position, a bit different altitudes, but also different soils. So they do a mix of this to make this wine that is quite historical. I was selling it long ago and I was already seeing the potential. Nowadays it's very highly recognized and always 90 plus points. I don't like to talk about that, but just to give you an idea. The cooperative itself is one of the most prestigious nowadays for Pinot Noir in general. They make plenty. They have a lower, let's say, entry one, this one, and now they do another 2 crus that are crazy expensive, while the others are, because that is the big part of the cooperative, very great value for money. So this one I paid 40 something retail in Italy. It is aged for a couple of years in casks of different sizes, some barriques also, but mostly big cask is traditional in Alto Adige, and then refined in bottle. And as I said, they are focused on the Pinot Noir in particular, so they are nowadays recognized for the elegance and complexity. The acidity is always good for the Pinot Noir, especially in Alto Adige, being a bit cooler because there is a lot of excursion. So it's stunning, Pinot Noir, if you are a lover in particular, perfect with these kind of foods, and a great pleasure, especially if you can wait and drink it later. Unfortunately, that is the handicap, not just in Burgundy, everywhere. Pinot Noir are not aged that long like Brunello, Barolo or other things. So it's tough to find them on the market more than 3-4 years old. Of course, it would be better to appreciate it later. But 21 was the only one available. So this is a nice Pinot Noir recommendation. We moved to Friuli, so we still stay in northeastern of Italy. So Alto Adige is really in the center of the north, bordering Austria, Friuli northeast, bordering Slovenia, Merlot. Merlot is a bit more than Pinot Noir, of course, but still less powerful than other red wines. It's quite famous in Friuli, not just for the white wines, but Merlot is considered one of the best regions in Italy. So Friuli can give outstanding Merlot. This is Via di Romance. Voos by Ciamps is the name of the wine, Merlot 2017. So Via di Romance is one of the most historical and famous worldwide wineries. It's in Isonzo, so on the river, on the banks. So it's not on the hilly part, but is the most famous probably winery, medium-sized, which did a lot with the white wines and in the time also with the red. I remember this Merlot, late 90s, beginning of 2000, was a super Merlot, priced not that affordable. This is more about 50-60 euros. For some time they didn't make. I guess, because I cannot find the info, that they uprooted and replanted the vineyard, because now the vines are quite young, just about 10-15 years. So that may be the reason. They restarted in the last few years. 17 is already quite aged, so should show already great complexity, elegance. The acidity there is always good. So it's a wine that can age easily 20 years, but they can give great emotion already after 7-10, of course, and is on the elegance mostly. They use barriques, that is the style. They are really inspired to Burgundy in a way, but of course in this case it's more the concept of Bordeaux, Merlot on the banks of the river. Famous for all their whites. They do even the cruise age, even the whites can age 20 years easily. So it's an outstanding winery, and it's a great Italian Merlot. For sure much cheaper than the Tuscan one, super famous, even skipping Massetto. So as alternative, if you are a Merlot lover to Tuscan Merlot, Friuli is the main option. There are several others very interesting to give a try if you like it. We move to Tuscany. We couldn't miss it. It's a classic for this kind. There are 2-3 main Italian reds that can fit the lamb beef. So Brunello and Montalcino, of course, cannot miss in this selection. This is Fattoi, Brunello 2015, 14.5 alcohol. 2015 is considered one of the very best vintages in this century, 15-16. There is discussion which one has something more. It is considered one of the very best value for money, because the price is very reasonable. This is about 40 euros, so it's the cheapest of the three so far. And it's a family-run business. They do everything: wine, oil, other farming. They have 10 hectares for the wine in southern area of Montalcino. So the classic zone at 300 meters is southwest exposure, so it's quite classic. The only thing is that they used even some smaller casks, but lately seems they do more with the bigger ones, so it's really the kind of traditional Brunello. They are trying to do good tannic structure, but elegance and longevity. So it's very recommended as alternative to the commercial names or the big ones. That big names are very expensive usually. Only some commercial you can find more affordable. This should be the perfect balance of everything with a great price. So for sure is an interesting pick if you want to go for a Brunello out of the box. All of this wine will be tasted. If you follow us, you will see sooner or later the tasting of each of them. To conclude, we go to Croatia as hinted. This is Madirazza, the winery, Grande Madirazza, Dingač, Riserva, 2012. So Dingač is the most famous and the first historical appellation in Croatia. Wonderful place, those steep slopes, very rocky. On the seaside is a peninsula, Pelješac, where it is, and this is the slope facing the open side of the Adriatic Sea in South Dalmatia, just close to Corčula Island, if you saw my previous videos about Croatia. So this is one of the relatively big wineries, in the hundreds of thousands, so still medium, but for there is big size, because there the concepts are all limited. Smaller country, very rocky places, so the yields are little, so it's another story. But it's one of the biggest. It's one of the historical. It's not the best for sure, but they have a huge range. But the premium wines I found very interesting, even if others consider more other wineries. The problem is that Dingač need to be old. So Plavacmali is the grape, which is called Dingač in that specific place, a bit like the Sangiovese is called Brunello di Montalcino in Montalcino. Is a special situation with the heat of the sun, also reflected by the sea, but it's still a very tannic grape. So even with this extra maturation, like in this wine, for example, they harvest very late, so there is even more sugar. Even not crazy actually, because the alcohol level is still 14. They left 3 grams of sugar in the wine. The tannic structure was very strong. So anyway, it needs time. And the problem of many wineries is that they release the 4 or 5 years old wine that is not drinkable, doesn't get the complexity. So if we talk about a proper Dingač with a decent aging, this is one of the best options I found so far, and great value because it's only about 30 euros in Croatia retail, so it's very reasonable. So it deserves, because it's a Riserva, as said, late harvest, aging cask for a couple of years, and then in bottle for a long time, big casks, Slavonian, so the typical Croatian casks. So it's a traditional style, and with the long aging can smoothen, develop the tertiary notes also, so has those typical Mediterranean herbs beside the fruit and some touch of spice, but mostly it's the herbs, olives, all these kind of typical things, so the Plavacmali and the Dingač in particular. And even with that residual sugar, you don't feel it. This I tried last summer, so I know it well. The tannic and acidity are still good. It's also a balance of that place. Even if that hot, with also the reflection from the sea, it still keeps this balance of the acidity, tannic. So they need time, for sure, more than all the others, even more than Brunello, where also acidity and tannin are strong. 12 was drinking perfectly now, so it's very good to find this. Of course, it's not easy to find if you don't go there. I don't know if you can find it around Europe, even if the size of the winery is not that small. So anyway, a great lamb match, probably the best. This and Brunello are the 2 best options for that, more than the Pinot Noir and Merlot. So a nice range. I hope any of you may find any of these or similar products, but consider also the wineries and the appellations I mentioned, like for example for the Pinot Noir in Alto Adige, the Merlot in Friuli, okay, Brunello di Montalcino, you know, this is a traditional style one, and then this from Croatia. I hope you enjoyed this kind of video. Like, subscribe, comment please, and see you next time. Salute!